example, like Wolfie6020, right? Um, he comes out with some good points, and honestly, I don't watch him that much, but you know, when I was looking for a troll list that I was looking today, I went to his channel because all of the trolls basically are over there going, "Hey, good job, Wolfie!" And it looks like his latest video is something to do with when are the flat earthers ever going to come up with a flight plan for flat Earth? And again,
Oh God.
or their big question of explain a equatorial mount telescope. Well, geez, guys, two things. They both fall into the same category. They are operating under the assumption and under the modeling of the globe Earth. The pilots plot their maps based on a longitude and latitude system that was designed for a globe, or I should say adapted from a flat Earth to a globe. And and obviously, if you were to create a model, a coordinate model for a flat Earth, it would most likely be a grid system, right? Just like the military uses on a flat map, right? So, but that isn't the way pilots do. He doesn't seem to be able to get that through his head. Of course, you're never going to be able to plot a flight path on a flat Earth using longitude and latitude on a flat Earth map because they are non sequitur. You don't have the same stuff going on in the northern hemisphere as you do the southern hemisphere. It's preposterous to even, you know, keep arguing that point. We concede that, okay? Wolfie, we concede that. You can't do it, can't be done. But you don't seem to be able to wrap your head around the fact that this entire system was designed for that. Same thing goes with the equatorial mount, right? Which is exactly the same argument of, oh, well, gee, how come I can look at Polaris, and if I'm in Denver and I'm at 39 degrees latitude, I can look up at 39 degrees in the sky and bada bing, there's Polaris. Well, for God's sakes, that's because this is exactly how this coordinate system works. And that is, again, we're looking at this based on their model, their mathematics, their layout, all of this stuff. And obviously, if you're going to reproject it on a flat plane, then things have got to change. And yes, a telescope works fine. An equatorial mount works beautifully on a flat Earth. Why? Because we're on a flat Earth. It doesn't matter whether you look at the latitude and longitude. If you're going to do that, you know, that's great. So it agrees with it. But the bottom line is if we came up with a different coordinate system, then in that coordinate system, the equatorial mount would work just fine, right?
The thing with the equatorial mount, it's like the overlay, the GPS overlay that he's relying on to navigate around the world. I'm not even going to say Earth anymore, it's world. It's just like the tablecloth on top of a table, right? You can wrap that around a ball equally as easily as you can put it on top of a tablecloth. Doesn't mean that we're on a ball just because you've got an overlay, but he doesn't realize it's an overlay. He thinks that these things are pegged in the ground and it's shaping the Earth, and it's not. It's an overlay and nothing more, but he can't get his head around it.
Yeah, exactly. He can't get his head around. It's either that or he is paid to do this. And I find Wolfie suspect anyway. Here's a guy that, you know, is supposedly a pilot, flies around all over the place, and he spends thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on giving away little toys and presents to you know, other ball earthers, you know, all the time making impossible claims like, oh, flat earthers come up with a flight plan based on the globe system for your flat earth. Well, we can't. Therefore, your entire challenge is BS, right? Can't be done. You know it. So instead, in all of his little fanboys that come along, he just gives them, you know, gives them expensive $1,000 drones, you know, here, there, and everywhere. I mean, who does that? Right? Who does that? Who has to buy their supporters? Well, Wolfie does, because Wolfie is simply not being honest about any of this. And you know,
Yeah.
I thought he was just a dumb pilot before, and now I think he's literally controlled opposition.
Yeah.
It's cut
One
the end of it, right?
the task for Wolfie, he makes all these equinox claims, this, that, and the other, right? Prove your antipode position. Because at the end of the day, right, everybody on this sphere has got an antipode position, right? For me, it's just below Wellington in New Zealand. So if I was to hypothetically dig a hole through the center of the Earth and back out the other side, I would pop out just south of Wellington, right? And you can all check it on Google Earth and see where your antipode position is. But that means that south is through the floor, right? True south is through the floor. You challenge any baller face to face and say, how are you going to prove that your antipode position is through the floor? And they all point to the horizon and say, well, that's the direction of south. And you say, well, actually, that's laterally speaking. I want to know how you're going to prove that it's antipode through the floor, because they can't conceptualize that south is actually through the floor. And you have to really push them for them to accept that south antipode is through the floor. And when I mean through the floor, I mean underneath your ass. It's not to the horizon where south is. They've got this compass thing where they point to the south, but that's our argument. But you get Wolfie to prove antipode, and he can't do it. Will he admit it? Probably not. Some of them admit that they can't do it, but the point is that you can't prove that antipode is through the floor, and that's the key point, because all of them go to the horizon at what they claim is south. But hey, guys, that's our argument.
Right.